Welcome to another episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. I'm your host, Brian Wilson. And we are here discussing two books today. We read Machiavelli's The Prince and The Art of War together. So,
we're at war. Hey!
She keeps saying that. She's been saying that since before we started.
At war. Like, don't get it twisted. The battle is not yours. I hope it's a video.
It's a video. It's a video.
All right.
Talk to me. We're at war.
We are at war. So I tend to not be a person that people would say you live in fairy tale world, right? But that's not the truth. And now listening to this is Machiavelli's you're always at war. The prince who has taken over the principalities, the dominions, the states, his mindset is always at war. Like realtors were always thinking about housing and interest rates. The prince, the market, he's always thinking about how to take over states and
how to keep his people happy.
How to keep
his warriors from killing him.
Yeah, don't have people hate you. And so then it combines with the 48 laws of power. It's okay to have some enemies. It's okay because you can use that anger to fuel
you.
Yeah, so I looked at some black slavery stuff and I was I was YouTube, just give me the 6-minute clips of it, so I could just
6 minutes.
So I could just please let me just get angry, and I don't think
find some anger.
Yeah, I don't think it worked as much,
No.
It didn't do
you
it
watch
for
the right.
me.
You didn't watch the right one.
No,
I don't think she watched the right slave movie.
Yeah, when we talked about Glory, I did watch Glory and that Denzel clip, but the 6-minute clip on YouTube didn't do it for me. Didn't do it. I needed to see somebody get whipped.
You need to go to Roots.
Yeah. I didn't have time to go
the
to
Roots.
Yeah.
There's a couple of movies. I'll text you.
No. Yeah, I did do a quick Google search, but Roots did not come up, which is okay because they're gonna
you would have taken you to a whole nother level of angerness. But you kind of need that. I saw the balance, a very fine line balancing act of good and evil, of being able to properly administer good amongst the citizens, to appease them, to keep them happy and focused on you and worshiping you as the king or the prince or whoever you are. And then whoever you claimed that you are, you know what I mean? Because title was either taken or given. And then how you ruled, meaning how you administered politics, the military, and kept a nice, happy balance amongst them. Because without your military, if you didn't have your military, you couldn't hold your position as king. And if you didn't have a subject, what's the point of having a military? So you had to kind of keep them all both together and happy at the same time. If your warriors got mad at you, they could kill you just as well as your subjects. They'd cut your head off in a heartbeat and be happy about it and go back to work. So how, as a king, did you balance keeping everything and everybody in an equal status flow? Keeping the warriors working, because if they weren't out pillaging and killing, what good were they? They'd sit around and lie around and get fat and then wait to kill you. Or they'd want to go out and torture the subjects, the people that you were ruling over.
Right.
So you had this really fine
dichotomy.
Oh my God, a dichotomy, because any day your life is in danger. Every day your life is in danger. Every day.
It's the saboteurs that wants to take over your mind. First and foremost,
they're real.
Yeah.
Those saboteurs are real. They got
knives. They're real.
They got bow and arrows.
Yeah,
they got What are those rocks with the fiery rocks? They've got swords and warriors.
Cannons.
So those cats are real.
No, for sure. That's why you gotta put on your full armor every single day.
Yes.
I asked you the other day, I love our weekly calls. The weekly calls be good. Just so you know, you're not bothering me. I'll be interested, okay? Just in case I came to your space, it may not have.
It did.
Okay, but that's just what's up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just to dismiss that your full armor. I said to you the other day, out of all book club, do you see any changes inside of yourself? And yeah, it's the compound effect. You're building incrementally on everything now. Reading this and all the other stuff we're doing. You put on your full armor before you walk out the day. You suit up, not just with your clothes, but with your mindset. Nothing is going to penetrate this force. You do whatever that you need to do. I'm going to have a great day. You know, and this reiterates the art of war, and the Prince reiterates that you are at war every single day. First is your internal war, what's happening with the people inside your own personal camp.
Right.
And then is the external forces, the market rates, NAR, you know, it's just
NAR. Yeah, that's NAR.
It's a force, you know, and power. But we have authority and power. In reading The Prince and Art of War, it's you got to operate inside of your power.
Yes, you do.
You have power and authority, and I have dominion already through, he said, principalities are hereditary or they're new. So hereditary
means they were passed down from somebody else.
It came through the blood.
Right.
So if you're a blood-bought believer that I have power and authority, you need to operate inside of that. You're the prince.
Yes.
That's the identity.
You literally come into this as, I am prince.
Yeah.
I am ruler over all of you people.
Yeah.
And then what does that mean to you? I mean, how do you not let your ego interfere? Because those are the things that can cause you to lose your head.
Yeah.
And
I think what I'm working on is not yet. Ego is the enemy came up so much for me. This by Ryan Holiday came up so much. Sometimes the ego wants to live in the past, but the past does not exist.
Right.
That's completely gone. And I think it's a continuation of where did you get that power from? It's not me personally, and I don't want to just keep stepping into different identities, because I think that's the ego just saying, oh, now I'm a prince, oh, now I'm a realtor. But behind all of that,
it's kind of like pigeonholing you.
Yeah, it's still an ego trip, but behind all of that, you're submitting to me, a greater power through the hereditary of the blood. And I think that's where you don't let your ego sabotage you, because then you're just I'm a top producer. Oh, now I'm just a prince. You're still jumping between identities on the same level.
I agree with you on that. You are. I say this often, that we wear multiple hats. The hats to me are
parent, father, community
who I
leader.
personify, who I'm embodying to be at that moment, who others need me to be at that moment. And I truly step into those different characters and roles, not for myself, but for others. I went to 4 funerals last week, and the third one was my daughter's grandmother. They needed me to step into a role and play a role and position for them during that time of supporter. Not badgerer, not whiner, not complainer, not argumenter, support. Whatever that means. So shut up, stand back, observe where you're needed, and be there. Fully, 100%, without emotion or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to be here, I ain't got to do all this. Erase all of that and stay focused on the mission. So now, after reading these two books, The Art of War and The Prince, I step into those suits of armor from a whole different perspective now. Because you're right, they are roles that boxes or holes that we've put ourselves in. But is it really for us?
Is the boxes really for us?
Are the boxes that we put ourselves in for us?
No.
So if I have to fit and contort myself into a box or a hole or a space for someone else, then I'm going to fully embody that box or that hole or that bag that they need me to be in to support them through whatever it is they're going through.
Yeah, so inside of that, you said, is the box or the hole really for us? So, and I answered no, because your life is not for yourself.
Right.
And you're not being a realtor for me. I'm not trying to close this deal for me. I'm standing for you. If I'm doing it for me, then I missed the mark, because then I'm just focused on the check. I'm focused on you empowering your bloodline so y'all can create some freedom and stability, or your landlord gonna be increasing your rent, and then you gonna have to move every single year, every 2 years, worried about that. But you can have a fixed mortgage rate. Yeah.
Yes, and your life is now solidified to be able to move forward.
That's what I'm standing for.
You can do.
Right.
So now, coming out of these two books now, from The Art of War, I saw the war as external. The market, other real estate agents, other real estate offices, these are the battles, the disinformation. This is the things that I was fighting. From The Prince, I looked at it from a standpoint of, I'm the prince, and my clients are my subjects, and how do I appease them? So now I put myself in the princely role, looking at the art of war for my clients to save them, protect them, and help them become prosperous and thrive. And then, from the prince perspective, I develop an attentive ear to be able to listen to their concerns and needs.
I liked from The Art of War, he ended with use your spies. And like, you can listen through other people.
Yes.
And you can share what you want to share, so you can know that it can hit other people.
So they can spread.
Yeah.
I felt like Paul Revere right now.
I feel like Robert Greene and like the 48 Laws of Power. Like, I don't have to be the front person, but I can speak to somebody, and they may or may not tell this other person that I may or may not be talking to. But, you know, I'm telling you certain information, so just that. So certain information can get out and certain information doesn't. But use the people around you, use other people's ears.
Okay, you said Robert Greene, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking Robert Moses.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. No, because I was thinking of it from the perspective of his power in connecting with other people.
Same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same. I'm not talking about the good or bad aspects of it.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he had a web and a network so vast to be able to communicate with so many different people to get them all to move in one direction.
It takes nothing to light someone else's flame. You don't have to be the front man. And I don't know, at a point, I don't think you want to be the front person.
It doesn't pay to be the front person.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants to be the president. They just want to have the president's ear. You know? The president is a figurehead. Somebody say this is good. Somebody say this is bad. I gotta listen to both and weigh out. So now I have advisors to direct and guide me. The prince did the same thing. He had directors to advise him, to listen to the ear, to go out and listen to the people to see what their concerns were, what their needs were, and then come back and report to him. He had lieutenants and generals to go out and scout the terrain to let them know what was a threat, what was possibly becoming a threat, how to avoid it, how to go through it. If you need to go out and take them and capture these people, come on, let's go to war. You know what I mean? Because that's what the warriors wanted to do. So you had those advisors that advise you and give you direction. I got that from the Prince. And then being able to put myself in that position relative to my clients, how do I best guide them and lead them through? Whatever it is they're trying to get through. I have a challenging meeting later on today with an old client who, through some weird connection, we found out we're related, right? And he's an old client. He was a client first before I found out that we were related. He's done a lot in real estate, and not with me. Like, I was his first, and then he moved on to another agent, and he did a bunch with this other agent. And he calls me often for direction and advice, but does not use me as an agent. So now he called me up, and I called him. He answered the phone. He calls, I answer the phone. No biggie. But we're talking about his problem and situation that he has. So now we're going to meet today because I gave him some information and he challenged my information. He has every right to because he's also a real estate agent. And he's been in the game for almost as long as I have. But now we're meeting today because he needs my help, direction, and advice. So now I've got to put on another suit and prepare myself to weather whatever objections he ever had about working with me, to work with him now. And then get through my own ego and angst of, why didn't you work with me? Why didn't you give me these opportunities? Get past all of that and focus on the here and the present. The Prince really helped me to ground myself in that perspective, you know? And
are you going to ask that question? I think
no, because it's the past.
But I also think that it can give you insight. You thinking that you go in there to give him insight. You're seeking insight too. Y'all mirroring each other, and I think that's something that's good to open up the conversation to see his feedback. Whether it's the past, I get it. But
you're right. I can't deny you that. You're absolutely right, which is probably why I'm definitely going to get more insight into where I lost him as a client.
Or we lost each other.
So now that goes back to Brene Brown and vulnerability.
Right.
Right. I have to be vulnerable in that space. So I have to put myself in that space to really identify where I failed or where I came up short.
Not necessarily putting it as not putting it in a state of blame and fault. Like, it's my fault.
I have to look at it from me though, because.
But I wouldn't use those words that it's blame and fault. Because it puts you in a disempowered position. And I would say just come in neutrality, map of consciousness, coming at flat.
Okay.
Just whatever. You know how you ask people for feedback. You
right.
know, like nothing's wrong.
Just. But what I still find interesting is that he always calls me. He still calls me to this day, and we've known each other if I've been a real estate agent for 20 years, I've known him 19.
So, just that. It will open up the conversation because he probably wants to share with you anyway.
Oh, he's my brother.
Yeah.
I can't. He's like my half brother. I can't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, that just came to me. You ever seen Game of Thrones?
Yes.
This is the Prince. Like,
yes.
Right, how to take over territories, and everyone has their own king inside of those territories, and they have advisors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Peter Dinklage was an advisor.
Yes.
He wasn't the front man, but he was a smart man.
Right.
You know?
So now, after reading these two books, how do you view your business?
I am the resource for my business. They said, don't fight near borders. You know, if you're fighting, have your back against the tree. You need to be able to see what's happening. And I just see myself as just a resource for the business.
I don't know. I look at myself from both perspective. Like I felt like I just enriched my whole life after reading these two books together. I've gotten a really deep insight and understanding of my role in my profession. I've gotten more grounded in what it is that I want for myself, but it's not so much, it's less now for myself. My big why has changed from not myself to what I provide now, what services I provide. And now, going back with Atomic Habits, really focusing on sharpening those points of what services I provide and how I provide those services. The Art of War taught me to look at the terrain, look at what's going on outside. Don't just be focus. Step back and see the forest and the trees and really kind of get a clarity on what's going on.
Know yourself and know the enemy. So it is external and it is internal. And that's what I got from the Art of War, to know what they're dealing with. Strike when they're hungry.
Strike when they're hungry, baby. I got you.
You got strike when
they're hungry.
The loudest person in the room is not usually the strongest person, but that's kind of like a reiteration. Watch the birds. Like if the birds, watch the trees. If the trees are fluttering, then the opponent is advancing. The best defense is your offense. I don't know if it was a basketball term, but like I've
heard that. I know.
Yeah, like I just thought of like I liked playing defense on just in basketball, and I just thought of like the Art of War is like you're really like your feet are planted, you're on solid ground.
Yes.
You make yourself wide.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
You move your feet and you move in unison with your,
with the opposition. Yes.
Yeah. I watched some football clips and it reminded me like, you go to the ball. Don't stand there and wait for the ball to come to you. You go to the ball.
Right. We're the ones running into the fire.
Yeah, like come on, like you just sitting there. That's an interception. Like that's a just that. Like some of the sports analogies, and then looking at the Art of War. It's just like your team really got to be solid, and it's okay if things are like disunity, but then bring them back
bring them back together. Because
then it talked about the generals. If you hear murmuring, then your under people are a little upset.
Somebody's upset. What's that mean? And is that a group consensus?
Yeah.
Am I about to lose my head?
Right. They're gonna cut your head off. They're gonna sacrifice you.
So I got some questions for you. What's the psychology behind your clients' moves, and how does this move your own personal self-interest tendencies? So let me rephrase that. The psychology behind your clients, what it is they want to do. Just think of current clients right now. And in your role as an agent, how are you preparing and arming yourselves for their whatever it is?
All right, I had a situation I feel like it was like fairly interesting. I got a referral, right? And then it was like, oh, okay, accept the referral. I was like, yeah, I'm in the spirit of accepting. And so I was like, yeah, bet I'm going to accept the referral. It was from an agent from Texas that has a family member in Philadelphia. So I met them on Saturday. The wife ended up being a realtor, and she's a realtor with our office. So I was like, why don't you just list your own property? Right. So in that psychology, like I can stand for you. Like I can maybe this opportunity is for me to teach you what does it look like to have a consultation, to have a meeting with a realtor. I gave you all the paperwork, I gave you the comps and everything, and then Sunday they ended up saying, hey, we chose to go in a different direction, yada, yada, yada. I was like, all right, bet. and then I sit back and it's like, okay, let's have a moment of reflection. First, you get this referral. The referral's from Texas. They live in Philly. The wife ended up being a realtor. That a realtor ended up being a realtor in this office, but you knew you just got your license in January, yada yada, and I'm meeting you in October. Like, maybe my purpose was to enhance their psychology, that put the power in you that you can do this yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what you using this license for?
Right.
Oh, I'm busy. I got this. I do this on the side. I got this going on.
Really. Bye. Bye.
So in the psychology, I think that sometimes, like, you want to go out and do the business and make the deal, and like, I had mentees under me. I have a team. Like, sometimes my job is to empower you.
Yes.
That, to me, that's the psychology of it. We're empowering our clients. We're standing for them. I can't come in there like, what can I get out of this? Because maybe in that moment, that's not my purpose. My purpose is to stand for you, to get you to do something that's seemingly uncomfortable for you. And being uncomfortable is a space of growth. Like,
yes.
Do it.
So, in answering my own question, I feel I'm at a point where I can no longer tolerate other people's bullshit. So now my consultations are weeding out bullshit consultations. I went on 3 listing appointments. 2 of them I dropped because I sat there with them and listened to the situation and realized that this was not something that was going to be beneficial for my life.
And I like that because it creates a clearing for something else to come through that's like, and I feel like I've been in that space. It's very strange. Not strange, like, one of the things the art of war is like persistence is like creates burnout or something like that. It was closer to the end. But knowing what's not worthy of your time, because everyone's worthy, but this
situations are not worthy of our time.
Yeah. Like,
that's where I've gotten to.
Like, in some examples, if a seller wants to, you give them a price, but they want astronomical, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
We're not even on the same.
We're not even on the same. And I'm not even like just trying to get. I just want my first deal. I want my first deal. I just want to listen. No, this ain't gonna be the one that ain't gonna sell.
No.
I already know what's gonna happen.
Sitting around for 6 months.
Yeah, you gonna be calling me, blaming me.
I didn't close. Why you ain't sell? I'm not at the settlement table.
Yeah.
I told you why you're not at the settlement table. Your price was too high to start with.
So it's like you're protecting your peace.
Yes, that's really what I got the most out of it, because all of the books focus on us. All of the books in some way, shape, or form force us to look at ourselves. It forces us to look at ourselves, our business, our actions, our emotions, our ego, our level of courageousness. Everything forces us to look at ourselves and see where we can best shine, where more emphasis and action is needed, what pieces and parts require further development, and how to respond, because we've got responsibility. How to respond through all of this. This book has empowered me with a new insight of war. War with the outside, war with my clients, war with business and family. And I use the term war loosely, because I don't mean it in the literal sense.
We're not taking up arms.
Right. I don't mean it in the literal sense of taking up arms with my clients and my family. I just mean the war against non-peace.
Right. Because my dreams, have been involving guns lately. Like, this morning to this morning.
Shit.
You know, like I ain't strapped, but like it's been guns, and I think that it's this stuff here.
Oh wow, that's kind of like got you.
Yeah, because
on the warpath.
Yeah, because I like walked in here. It's like we're at war, and it's like people like I'm strapped up, or somebody around me is strapped up, and it's like because I think we're reading the Prince, and like and my external world is reflecting in my internal world, and now I'm like we're at war. Like you gotta have your, you know, Pop Smoke.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, click the clacker.
Yeah, Jocko.
Yes.
Like he's always scouting out, looking at the exit signs. Put your back towards the wall. How many people in here?
Oh my God!
Like,
yeah, Jocko can scare the crap out of you.
Yeah, like it's always
you're
there.
always at war.
Then I'm like, all right, so I'm a lieutenant. I'm colonel. I'm the general. I'm the general of my mind. So then the fortress to me is like, how are you controlling your mind and the forces that's external and internal. So much fun inside of going to battle.
So how do we talked in one of our other books about psychological safety, right? I think it was
EQ.
Think Again.
Okay.
I think it was Think Again. How do we instill psychological safety within our clients?
I think the word boundaries is coming up for me. Boundaries, like the mind can go so many places. They're like, oh, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. But let's stay in the present moment. None of that has happened, and you think that by you worrying about all these negative, impending things that hasn't happened, that you're creating a safe fault against them. When to me, like that's not the case. You're just ruminating over something that didn't happen. So how about we just put a boundary on your mental capacity and then be in a space of like not just perfect peace, but like everything's working out for me. Let that flood your inbox compared to all these worst case scenarios, because then that affects your heart. Now we're affecting your your neural system. We're now affecting your subatomic level. Like the electrons are like, worry. We don't need to be operating like that on an electronical level. Mm-hmm. Like so I just say boundaries. Boundaries is like your shield. You got to really have like, we're at war, you need your defense mechanisms, and you need to be cutting that stuff like down. Like it can't penetrate this force, and my force is everything's working out for me. So I say, create a boundary. When the armies, they have a fort. They got a fort already. They have a boundary line, and they operate inside of their lines. And if they know that they're about to advance, they advance as a unit, and they know that they're gonna win. Like they go win or die. Like boundaries.
My phone is broken. Some way, shape, or form, my phone is broken. Some calls get through, and some calls don't get through. I called AT&T. They said there's nothing wrong with my phone. I don't know if it's a setting that I put on it or what the heck is going on. But I have been so grateful that my phone is broken, because some calls don't get through and they go to voicemail. And then I can listen to the voicemail, deal with the problem at that point from that perspective, and then go from there. I'm not living in everybody's drama.
I like that. And boundaries inside of like, I downloaded this app called OneSec, which puts a blockage on social media apps, so I don't like look at it, and which helps me, because then on the external force, psychologically, I could be like, so they just had another closing, they just got another client, and then I internalize that, and then I reject myself, and it's just like my ego is like, you need to do better, and I was like, back
up off me.
Back up off of me.
Yeah.
So that helped me to be like, stop looking at it.
Did he just fall?
No, it was like something that fell, but it wasn't a person.
Okay. Oh shit! I see them birds flying around. They was after a carcass.
Something fell, but it wasn't a person. So creating using that app, and I put like something like, you didn't do this, but I put my phone on silent. Like it's not silent, but it's like you silent junk calls. So then it makes it seem like nobody's like calling me, but like all the political stuff.
Oh my God! How do you get away from those?
And you can put on your phone block spam, what looks like spam, and then they just silences everything. That creates peace for me because everybody, you voting.
Oh my God!
Give us blood. Oh man,
Stop it!
Am I the only person that's giving blood out here?
That's just me. It's just us.
Man.
It's us. It's just us. But yeah, I use focus, so mine does something similar. It cuts the phone off at a certain time of day. So now I don't get calls. I get missed calls, but it blocks out everybody but the family, which is great.
Yeah.
So
control and setting boundaries.
Yes, is huge.
Right.
Because of all the things I have to protect, it's my peace and sanity. I need
think
that space to think.
I think that's a perfect place to be.
To create.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I broke out my camera.
Nice.
My old camera. Because I used to, when I was in Old City, I used to walk Old City and just take pictures. You know? Take pictures of things that interested me, but also practicing with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm moving back into camera, you know, developing the artsy side of me.
That's what's up.
You know, I'm missing that piece of me, that artsy side piece.
The humanities.
You know, that really helped empower me to do and be. You know what I mean? I like that wild side of Brian, you know, that non-managerial. There's no manager. It's just me and allowed with a blank canvas to create and do what I do. So now when I come back to the structure and order that I have to contend with, I'm at more peace in being able to focus and listen versus being so,
I gotta do this, I gotta do
that. Yes. That is, I'm trying to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Because that can drive me crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And then I start thinking. And the thing that messed me up was I used to just come up with these great ideas and would never write them down. So I had all these beautiful ideas. I never put pen to paper to put any of them into effect. But now I'm really starting to put pen to paper and write them down and really working to put them into effect, which brings me to my next question for you. So, from all the books that we've read, provide me an example of leadership with certainty.
That's it?
Yes.
Leadership with an example of leadership with certainty?
Yes.
I want to go with spit it out. Safe space for me is like marketing, and thank goodness we're in like these different committees and stuff like that. So I offered my, I want to say skills, services to create something, an event flyer for one of the committees that I'm on.
Okay.
So with certainty, I can execute on it, and I did. And the event is coming out, and I like that it's being distributed throughout wherever channels they're using it, and it's my personal creation, like something that I can lose myself in, and I'm certain my work is good.
Okay. I came up with John Johnson. I thought about the whole incident with the clothes when he moved to
his mom,
Chicago,
and
the kids were teasing him.
Yeah.
He didn't wince and run off crying about it. He went home
and he changed.
And he came back a new person. And not only did he change his clothes, but he changed what he was reading to incite him to be able to speak. And that drew the crowd to him. So now his look and what he had to say coming out of his mouth recreated himself. And
I like that it wasn't just an external demonstration, like the cars, the homes, the don't build you is kind of what's in the inside of you, because you go to your funeral, they ain't gonna say he had this, that, and the third. They're gonna say that he was kind, generous,
Yes.
Caring.
He took all of that in, especially given the books that he read, to enrich himself. I like that. That just, I wonder where he got it from. Like, because it doesn't really say in the
Hereditary
book.
or new.
Right. It doesn't say in the book where he got that from. Like, did he get it from his mother? Did he get it from his father? Or was it just within him?
I think it was with a little bit of both. I think it was passed down through the blood and some new external forces. Because you in this school and you looking at everybody else, it was like, oh, I like that. Let me do something. Let me shift my identity. A little bit of both. But the prince is through the, the king, the third. You're the fourth king now.
Did you see Houdini?
No.
I mean, my daughter and I watched it.
Okay.
Sunday.
Okay.
I saw this before. This was the documentary on Houdini. And the thing the documentary focused on was, so the thing that I liked about Houdini and why I recommended it, it came from one of these two books, was how Houdini was actually able to alter his mind and change his thinking and perception on who he actually was. The documentary focused trying to find the source of his powers. This is how they defined it, trying to find the source of his powers through an incident that happened to Houdini when he was a young boy, a near drowning incident. And they believe that was the origins of his abilities to be able to perform feats of magic underwater. Because remember, he did the water tank thing, and they put him in this container of milk and, handcuffed him and watched him try to get out. But I think it was far beyond I think the childhood incident sparked within him a deep understanding of how he was able to control his mind. Because he didn't freak out, because that's what kills you. You know what I mean? He maintained a level of calmness to get himself out of that situation. I think he did the same meditative trance to get himself into those situations. That's why I was asking you about that other movie about the swimmer who could swim underwater for long periods of time. It was a real person. And then there was another guy, the guy that documented him, almost died trying to recreate the whole thing. I mean,
this morning I was like, maybe it's Aquaman.
No, I can't remember the name of this movie, but I texted to you, so I was trying to find it in the text. But I looked at, in this, the power of the mind. Who you really think yourself to be. Who you perceive yourself to be. We keep calling it the boxes that we put ourselves in, but the prince had to put himself in a certain box and position.
I think oh my God.
Go ahead.
I'm here now. It was this is like Warner Earhart, and this is his clip. He did Landmark and S Training, and he it's like the it is like the id, ego, and some super ego.
Super ego, yes.
Right. And he says something like, "It thinks you don't think it." Like the context that you have inside, like black people have a context sometimes. Like sometimes it's like with white people, they don't like us. It's a operating perception that's always already there in the back, that's thinking you. And you gotta we got dismantle that, because that context has us perceive the world in such a way like, oh, they don't want this, they ain't hold the door, because it's a perception. Not that it's true, but right. Maybe it's the id, the ego, the super, maybe it's thinking you. So then I think that you gotta turn around and be like, you don't exist. Like you're not here. It's just a function of my mind that is created through belief systems, through hereditary and dismantle it so you can overcome it. I think that's just where I'm at.
I hear you, because there was the pieces that you said that brought back the book Switch to me.
Yeah.
And how I keep going back to Switch and the story about the Vietnamese mothers trying to nourish their family, their children. I keep going back.
That's your favorite story.
It's my favorite story for many different reasons. I look at, I told you about my mindset about how the mothers nourish the children.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm looking at how the administrators inspired the mothers to nourish the children, and how they were able to step back and not look at it as, I'm doing this for you, but they looked at it like from a perspective of, how can I aid you in accomplishing your own goal? So he identified a goal for them, helped them to identify a unified goal that they all could appreciate, and then put them together to work together to solve their own problem. He didn't take credit in the sense of, look what I did, Eureka. He stepped back and marveled the tipping point growth that took effect after it. There were so many things in Switch that I saw from an individualized perspective of the effects and the power that one person can have on a mass of people with their mind. I mean, Houdini said, I'm going to be famous for what it is that I do. And he went out and he actually did it. I think about Dave Chappelle when he talks about the dreamer, and how one person's dream can ignite a whole world to join behind his thinking. And then putting yourself in the position of the actor and the audience. Remember we read?
The actor and the target?
The actor and the target, yes. I think of all of these points, connecting it all the way back to 48 Laws of Power, the Grand Vizier, you know, and how we play all of these different
Kaiser
roles, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Kaiser Cersei?
Yeah.
Why do you bring up Kaiser Cersei?
Movie I did watch. Kaiser.
We have a powerful tool between our ears. We have a really powerful tool between our ears. I was talking to Demetrius the other day about how do we increase the percentage of our brains that we actually use. Remember Lucy? Did you see the movie Lucy?
Yeah, we use like 10% of our brains or something like that, and she took a pill and she could know everything.
Yes, and then she kind of just drove her crazy. But I don't want to increase my brain usage that much.
No,
I just want to use a little bit more of it, you know?
I like where you brought up the dreamer thing because that was funny. But I'm in that same space. Like, I just came across like something on TikTok, and it was like TD Jakes, and he was like, wake up! Like, and then in The Matrix, he was like, Neo was like, what's wrong with my eyes? And Morpheus was like,
you never used it before. I was like, what? You say what? What you say?
Neo, you've been in a dream world.
What the hell you say?
And Chappelle, he said that too, and like Will Smith says that, like, this is your dream. Like, you are creating your dream. Your dreams that when you sleep at night are just as real as your dream in this daytime thing. Like, in here, wake up in this dream and create something. Like what you were talking about getting back to is being this space of creation. And some of the stuff that we deal with, don't sweat the small stuff. You think that's small, like you think that's a big thing, your ego, your it, whatever. it's back there like, this is a problem. This is a problem.
Yeah.
I gotta do this. You make that so big.
You make it big. We make it what it is.
It's not in the grand scheme of things. That's nothing. But you are so asleep to your divinity or your power, your dominion, your authority that you're not operating in it because you asleep to that version of yourself.
This has been, I love these two books. I'm glad you recommended them. The Prince was a little scary.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's a little scary.
I'm shooting people right now.
He did have us in the mindset, you know. But I'm glad we actually read them together, especially coming out of Robert Moses, coming out of Switch, coming out of Psycho-Cybernetics, you know, about the powers of the mind and the ability, The Art of War, focusing on external factors, terrain and opposition and the enemy and the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy and being able to identify the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy. I think these were really good books to move on to go through. I have the next book in mind.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ethics.
Okay.
The orange book I sent you.
Yeah. I didn't do anything with it. I went to sleep.
Okay. The next book is called Ethics, and I forgot the author's name.
How come?
I texted it to you.
Yeah. What about ethics?
What? So this was my mother's book.
Mm-hmm.
She kept it for years, and it was years. Like I got it, and it was years before I actually read it.
Right.
So the first time I read it, as usual, I was angry about it. And then I put it down. And then I went and picked it back up again. And I realized why I was angry about it. Because it was telling me things about myself that I didn't want to hear.
But who was the I that didn't want to hear it?
Right.
Which
is why I had to go back to the book.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why I am recommending it again. Because there's probably things in it
that I don't want to hear.
That,
I'd be like, all right, let me
yeah.
Stop yelling at me.
But I'm also getting ready to take ethics training. Again, I
So
thought
you
I took it.
That's why I hopped off. I was like, I took my ethics training. That's why I hopped off.
thought I did, and she looked me up and told me that I didn't. I needed to take it. So I registered for it yesterday. So I have the ethics class coming up. So this is just going to walk into ethics training.
That's what's up. And I think ethics is like a framework, not just like the Prince with morality, ethics. You got to have a foundational book to come from. And what we're doing is not for ourselves.
Right.
It's for other people, and it's to take this knowledge and use it out in the
real world.
Right.
I think of the Patagonia. The thing.
Asian thing.
Yeah. I think of that.
Okay.
And elevating and resonating at a higher level, and that.
I think of like sometimes.
Chapter, what was that? Chapter 9.
I don't think I read that.
Force and from power versus force.
Oh yes.
That's what I.
Oh yes. I was going to go to the map of consciousness.
Yes.
And like it's a God view at the top. Like everything is like the Nar. What's happening is just it is.
Right.
Like it's not good or bad. It's just what's
is.
So.
Right.
And then you can.
It's just a wave that comes over and it hits you. You just stand up and keep it moving.
And everything is perfect, complete. Your issues, which you deem as issues, they're just are.
Right.
You know.
This has been an excellent episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. I am your host, Brian Wilson.
I'm Javada Hill.
We're going to see you next week as we go through the next book called Ethics. You can find us on Facebook under Building Brilliance Book Club. You can see our past episodes on YouTube under Building Brilliance Book Club. And you can find us on our Facebook, on our website, Building Brilliance Book Club. I had to get the dot in there. Where you can see the books that we've read, join in and participate in conversation, or even purchase one of the future books that we're getting ready to read. We look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Have an excellent day.